All right, what is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in on this Sunday. The hell you guys tuned in for on a Sunday? I told you guys I got a show coming up tomorrow morning. Thank you for hanging out. I mentioned I think on Friday that if something was going down and we thought it was obviously worthwhile to go live, then we were going to go live. So a lot cooking this morning, a lot cooking around the Los Angeles Lakers this morning. A lot of things to kind of play out, a lot of scenarios to play out, and frankly, I didn't really want to wait till tomorrow morning to kind of break it down. So we'll spend a little bit of time. We'll kind of go as long as we need to go. I'll get a chance to give my thoughts and opinion. There are a couple things I want to get into. So obviously LeBron James opts into his contract with the Lakers. I think this is just one man's opinion. I think this is the best scenario that could have played out for the Lakers is that LeBron opts in. I'll explain to you why I think that. But there are so many other angles that I think come with what just happened here a couple of hours ago. Here's what I'm referring to. We're going to read Rich Paul's statement that he has. I got some sound from Shams Charania of, I guess you can call it the situation with the Lakers. And it's a very interesting way of them describing, hey, LeBron's coming back to the Los Angeles Lakers, but I think there are a lot of things to look at in regards to how you're building for the future with this contract. I think there's some scenarios out there that also plays out. Is this LeBron's final year? I think there's some scenarios that play out with the Lakers and LeBron James agree to a trade if things aren't going as planned. I think there's some scenarios that play out. Okay, if they played out this year, then you took LeBron's numbers off the books and he wants to come back next year. Is he okay with taking a lot less money because the Lakers are structuring a deal to go get another big-time free agent so that they could actually compete for an NBA championship? There are a lot of layers to this. This is not a just simple, hey, LeBron's back for a year. So I think it's going to be a fun conversation to have. I think it makes for certainly a fun show here to play out all these different scenarios. So I'm looking forward to having these conversations. So that's what we're going to do here today. By the way, there's a couple other things going on around the NBA as well. Big part of my conversation is going to be about building for the future as well. I saw some different stories there that everybody's trying to fleece the Lakers when it comes to a center because they know how desperate they are for a center. Dorian Finney-Smith enters free agency. So good morning. Welcome to this Sunday. So timing is good. I'm chilling today, and I'm looking forward to having these conversations with you guys. If you guys don't mind, do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate that. And please consider being a member. It's $3 a month. If you go to my YouTube page, it says join right there. It's just a phenomenal way to support the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. And everybody that is a member, I thank you for that. All right, let's get started here. Why don't we just get into the details first? And then I got some sound from Shams that I want to play for you guys because Shams was on SportsCenter and he's breaking down this entire thing. So let me start off with this. Here are the details. LeBron picks up his $52.6 million option, and then it says monitoring the Lakers' moves. Monitoring the Lakers' moves. We're monitoring you. Monitoring the Lakers' moves. All right, I know that kind of sounds pretty funny, but there's a little bit of a Laker fan coming out. It's like, no, you don't monitor us. We monitor you. Okay, so let me just say this. I mentioned there's a lot of layers. Let's do the first layer. He opts into his contract. Let me tell you why I thought this was the best scenario for the Lakers, that he just opts into his contract. Here's why. LeBron's going into his 23rd year in the NBA. This year, by the way, will be the longest anybody has ever played in the league. Him and Vince Carter were tied at 22 seasons each. Obviously, he'll walk into his 23rd year. And Bron is still putting up phenomenal numbers. It's not all just a numbers game. It also is a results-driven league. Well, it's not like the Lakers were 12th in the Western Conference and he was putting up good numbers. LeBron's putting up badass numbers, and they were the third best team in the West. It's not LeBron's fault that they have not found a center and some other wings to kind of grow around. So that's going to be up to the front office to figure that out. Here's why I like him opting in. I like him opting in at 52.6 because what does LeBron always do? And I was hoping, and I actually didn't think this was going to happen. I thought LeBron was just going to do another 1+1. hey, I'm going to sign for one more year, and I'm going to put your entire team, your front office on notice like I do every single year. And I'm not going to tell you what the future looks like for me down the road. He's still able to do that, but I do think it's different than some of the other contracts that he signed. Now, the Lakers got some leverage in this thing, too. Lakers are saying to themselves, hey, there was a point we didn't know where the hell this franchise was going. Is LeBron and Anthony Davis? Is AD, is that the guy that you want to take the keys, go start the engine and say, let's go, follow me? I think there were some doubts from people to think that Anthony Davis was the right guy for that. They got Luka. And Luka is, I expect Luka Doncic this upcoming season. You guys are going to get so annoyed of me talking about Luka this upcoming year. That man has to be one of the MVP favorites coming up to this upcoming season. He has to be. I don't think there's a world out there that the way he got dragged through the mud leaving Dallas, the way people have been talking about his weight, about not being in shape, including myself, that Luka Doncic is not the best version of himself this upcoming season. Now, there's only so much Luka can do. Just like I said, there's only so much LeBron can do. That front office got to go to work. Pelinka's got to go to work, and they got to figure out how to put together the proper team. But the pressure that was always on the Lakers of, kind of what's LeBron going to do, even though I always thought they knew he was going to come back, that loses a lot of steam here now that you got Luka. Let me give you an example. Let's say LeBron plays out the rest of this year and then decides when this year is over, he decides, you know what, I'm going to call it a career. Lakers are going to say, thank you very much for what you did for this organization. We all made a shit ton of money together. We got an NBA championship in 2020. It was a roller coaster of up and down, but thank you for everything. Oh, by the way, we got another guy here. His name is Luka Doncic. He's going to take the keys from here. That's already set in motion. So I don't think they got to panic. Where I did think that the franchise before that Luka trade, there was a little bit of panic. That's why so many of these teams were looking at that 2029 first-round pick that the Lakers had, the 2031 first-round pick Lakers had. Everybody's like, oh, my God, those picks are gold, because people are expecting the Lakers probably not going to be that good in the next 3, 4, 5 years or whatever the case is. Well, that's not the case anymore. You got new ownership. You got Luka Doncic. And we'll see how the Lakers obviously figure out things from here. There's a theme to all of this. A lot of this also going to depend on Rob Pelinka. And for Pelinka as well, I mean, I think he's on the clock as well. And I'm not telling you Pelinka's leaving anytime soon. I'm not saying he's leaving tomorrow. What I'm saying is it's a results-driven business. And you got new ownership that came in where they could spend as much money as they want in the front office. They could spend as much money as they want in scouting. One of the things that I think has hurt the Lakers in the past, they cut some corners here. Cut a corner here, cut a corner there. And then you look at your roster and you say, I don't know if we're going to be competing for an NBA championship. I don't think you're going to get that from new ownership. I really don't. So kind of everybody's on notice here. So Bron opts into his contract, the $52.6 million player option that he has. He opts into it. I like it because if this is it for LeBron, everyone can wipe their hands clean. They can shake hands. They could say, thank you for your business, and everyone can move on. And that's just kind of the reality of the situation. If that's how it ends with LeBron James as a Los Angeles Laker, I don't want to hear Laker fans bitching and complaining about LeBron. I don't want to hear them say, Kobe was this, that. Don't try to compare LeBron to other Laker greats. LeBron's going to have a chapter in Lakers history, and it does equal a championship. Now, if you want to make the argument that you thought LeBron would do more as a Laker, as in have more than one finals appearance and win an NBA championship, that's fair. You can have that argument. I've had that argument before where we've had some of the conversations of, if you go look at some of the Laker greats, they don't typically just get to the finals once. I mean, that almost never happens. They're stacking up championships, and that's typically what happens. Okay, so the fact that he opts into that 1 year, I think we're going to find out a lot about this season, and then we'll obviously move on from there. But you do know that there's a little bit of clarity. If LeBron wants to be a Laker past this year, we could reset everything. Yeah, we kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of look here. All right, does it make sense for Bron? Does it make sense for the Lakers? And there isn't this, it's a decision just made by LeBron if it's a 1+1. So we know that's obviously not going to be the case. Okay. If that was the entire story, then we'd be walking into this episode saying, okay, Al, what else do you have? Certainly not the entire story. Let me read some of the quotes here in this article. Let me read a few of the quotes here, and we'll do it together because I think there's a lot of good quotes here. Let me read some of the different things that Shams wrote out there. Rich Paul obviously had the conversation with Shams or whatever statement that they put out. Let's look at some of the quotes here, and then I want to play some sound from Shams. So here's the article on ESPN. We'll look at it together. Here are a couple Rich Paul quotes. LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that. But he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we have had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. Okay. LeBron wants to win a championship, knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but values a realistic chance of winning it all. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean that is there a little bit threat is not the right word because I think that's too strong of a word and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic here. But is he basically saying, look, put together a championship contender or else? I got to be honest with you. I don't really think the Lakers are taking a threat from LeBron right now. I think they're kind of like, well, we're trying to build a championship contender. Part of the problem with trying to build a championship contender right now is $52.6 million are going to a player going into the 23rd year of his career, and we're not 100% sure what that's going to look like. And listen, I'm the first one to tell you guys, LeBron has been great. He's been fantastic. And maybe some people are on here, they're going to complain, LeBron is this, LeBron is that, he controls this, he controls that. That's fine. I mean, people can have their opinion on LeBron. Let's just say he's a very polarizing player, and people are always going to have their opinion on Bron. But part of the challenge of building a championship contender is because you got 52 and change going to LeBron. Part of the challenge of building a contender is a player that's this far into his career that's still doing things that nobody really understands. And a lot of people are having a difficult time trying to, comprehend what he's been able to accomplish. And now he's going to be in his 23rd year in the NBA. Okay, another quote here that I want to read real quick, and we'll keep moving here. We understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive, and want what's best for him. I think the Lakers got a couple things that are important to them, okay? And I'm not sure if LeBron is on the top of that list. But I think there are things that both LeBron's camp and the Lakers have something in common. Both want to win a championship. Both understand that there's always pressure on LeBron every year to go compete for a championship. And of course, for the Lakers, there's pressure on the Lakers every single year to go compete for an NBA championship. I'm not breaking any news here. So I do think that there are similar goals between the two. The question is going to be, is that possible together? That's going to be the question of if that's possible together. And I don't know if I have that answer. And frankly, Rookie might not have that answer as well, the dog barking in the background. But I will say, Rookie, come here. I will say this. I will say that that's going to be something that both sides are going to have to try to figure out together. And I don't know if we have an answer to that. I mean, genuinely, I think that I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think Luka and LeBron at this stage, that's going to equal a championship team. Like that's a very, very difficult thing to try to figure out and understand. Now, if you told me this, LeBron plays out the rest of this year, and then next year, LeBron says, hey, if you guys can go get some real talent, I'm down to stay for one more year, take less money, and then let's go try to put this thing together. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it is something to, obviously to play out. Okay, I want to play the sound here real quick because Shams has some sound here that I want everybody to take a look at here real quick. There's some more to the article I could get into in a little bit, but I want to play some sound here real quick before I do that. So let me find this. Share screen. Let's get the Shams here real quick. Okay, take a quick listen. Here's Shams talking specifically about the Lakers and LeBron's future.
What does it all mean for the Lakers and LeBron moving forward?
The Lakers' perspective is they're doing everything they can to build the team the right way, to try to compete for a championship. We know they're in the center market right now. So you look at centers like Brook Lopez, Clint Capella, Al Horford, all available in the market. They're also dealing with Dorian Finney-Smith. He's got a player option decision, 15.
Let me say this real quick. Listen to the names that he just said of the centers. Clint Capella, Brook Lopez. I mean, these are not names that any of us were looking at and saying, hey, that's the answer for the Lakers. That's such a short-term fix. That's not a long-term fix. And if that's the reality, then obviously that's the reality. But I don't think anybody's going to be overly excited about that. All those names that he mentioned would be phenomenal as backup centers, not starting centers, because we know these guys aren't going to be playing 30, 35 minutes.
$8.4 million player option. He also faces a deadline later today. So they're doing what they can, but LeBron James clearly is of the mindset that he wants to compete for a championship, and he's going to be monitoring very closely. Are the Lakers going to make the moves that puts them in position to seriously compete in that vaunted Western Conference? And then if not, where do those conversations go? That becomes a subplot of this offseason.
Lakers, the 4 seed last.
All right, we'll stop it right there. Again, I don't want to be too dramatic with my wording, but some of the things that I take away, it's like, is he threatening the Lakers? Is he saying kind of like make it happen or else? And again, I think that's a little too dramatic to put it that way. So I don't want to make it sound like that's how I'm coming off. But I will say, and I kind of said this from the beginning, they all got the same goals. The question is just going to be, are they realistic? The question is just going to be, are the goals that the Lakers have and the goals that LeBron have, can they still together accomplish the goals that they have? And if there's a little bit here of like, hey, LeBron saying, I'm going to opt in, but if we're not competing for an NBA championship by the time we get to the trade deadline, maybe I am open to getting traded. Maybe I am open to going somewhere else and trying to compete for an NBA championship, and you guys can start not a full rebuild, but you could at least start the next chapter completely around Luka Doncic. I got to be honest with everybody. If you told me that, let's say the Lakers, let me just play out a scenario. And I'm not telling you this is what's going to happen. Let's say free agency doesn't really go as planned. And let's say by the time you get to the trade deadline, you're looking at it and you're like, you know what? Look, Lakers are not competing for a championship. They're just not. There's 6-7 teams better than them in the Western Conference, and the pieces just don't fit. Is part of what they're saying there that, look, if that's the case, LeBron's got a no-trade clause, by the way, so he's going to really determine where he ends up going, and he's going to say yes or no on whatever trade. If that chapter closes with LeBron, and hypothetically it happened at the trade deadline because the Lakers aren't competing enough, and LeBron says, hey, I really want to, this is it. I don't have too many years left. I need to compete. I need a long playoff run. I don't know how many Laker fans are going to be sitting back there and saying, no, don't trade LeBron. I think most Laker fans, to be honest with you, are sitting back right now and saying, how can we compete with Luka as the centerpiece, and what's it look like over the next 2-3 years? Something I think, Laker fans do have to put into perspective here. And I really, really think that there has to be, you got to kind of recalibrate what you think the Lakers are today. If they can't find the right center and they're really having trouble in free agency because teams don't want to do deals with them and that roster doesn't look right or whatever the case is, the reality is it's going to take some time to rebuild again. Listen, by the way, that doesn't mean that it can't happen in the next couple of years. That doesn't mean new ownership can't come in and really help kind of light a fire and figure out how to compete again sooner than later. But if that chapter means, I think, and I do believe people got to understand this, if that next chapter for the Lakers actually truly competing for a championship takes a couple of years, that could very well be on the table. And I think people got to understand that could, just because you got Luka Doncic, it doesn't mean that now you go compete for a chip. You got to figure out the rest of the roster. And then you got the glaring question that we got a little bit of an answer today is LeBron. Well, what's LeBron's path? What's he thinking? I think Rich Paul and LeBron really do value the partnership with the Lakers. I think it's been good business for both sides. I think it's two powerhouse brands joining together. I believe that, and I think everybody else does. But that doesn't mean there's a path to a championship this upcoming year. It doesn't. And I think that's just kind of the reality of the situation. And I also think that ownership and Laker fans and even LeBron also understand, listen, if that path moving forward, a year from now, that relationship is done with LeBron, that's 8 freaking years in a Laker jersey. That's as long as that's twice as long as his time that he spent in Miami. And there's still obviously a lot that can play out between now and then, but I think that article, it's very interesting. LeBron James picks up $52.6 million option, monitoring the Laker moves, monitoring them. I don't know what kind of moves the Lakers are going to be making in order to compete. Maybe it's just, hey, let's just try to put a little bit of pressure on the organization. But frankly, I don't know how much pressure the Lakers need on their organization. I think the pressure is always going to be there. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of comments here. I definitely want to get your guys' thoughts on what we've done so far, what the Lakers have done so far, at least in part of our conversation today, and what you guys think of some of these topics. So let's do that. We're going to do that in just a second. I do want to shout out one of our partners here. Shout out to one of our partners, like I mentioned, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. So a few different things that we can talk about here, at least for me, and I've mentioned this all the time. I hope you guys never need an injury attorney, but things happen in life. And if you do, at least have somebody that I can introduce you to. There are a few certain things in life that can happen, and all of a sudden there's a serious injury, there's a wrongful death case, there's something that happens when you're on the road, whatever the case is. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, they are the best in the business. Free agency is about to explode. Everyone's reloading, making moves, trying to get the edge for next season. That's exactly what Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm do, except their offseason is in the courtroom, and their free agents, it's big cases. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to be in their office tomorrow in their studio. So that's going to be great to be there. This is going to be the second time that I'm doing a show from their studio. He's got a great podcast set up there. Known Brad for years. This guy attacks every case like it's a max contract year. Just last month, $4.6 million jury verdict. It's not a fluke. That's game film, reps, and execution under pressure. He's the best in the business. For more info, hit up wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, or click on the link in my description. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's get back to I want to take a look at some of your guys' comments and see what you guys got to say about some of the stuff we're talking about. All right, let's see. Lakers need to get young and athletic. I don't think anybody's questioning that. Let's see what else we got here. Mark Walters is a championship caliber owner. We will see a multi-year championship coming. Listen, ownership can only do so much, but if you don't have right ownership, you don't have anything. And I do think they will try to build something that's sustainable. Whether I should be giving new ownership credit for this or not, in the back of your mind, when the draft was going on and you saw the Lakers moved from number 55 to 45, and I'm like, oh, that must be because of new ownership. And then they moved from 45 to 36. You're like, oh, this makes all the sense in the world. New ownership. To be honest with you, I have no idea if they had any impact on what happened over the couple of days of the draft in the second round. But instantly I kind of said to myself, I'm like, yeah, that makes, that must be because of them. They're going to put the resources that they need to. There's a cap in the NBA. It ain't like baseball. You can't just go out and spend the $300+ million and whatever and deferrals and all that stuff. It's not the same. But what you can do is spend as much as you want in your front office, in your scouting, in your coaching. There's a lot of other areas that can really, really be an impact. But the one thing I'll caution Laker fans, I've said this to you guys before, it ain't happening overnight. It's going to take some time. I think that's going to be something that will happen over time and something to keep in mind there. SK, wonderful. SK, thank you for the super, brother. Very, very kind to you on this Sunday. Cheers to you, brother. I appreciate the super, okay? The game is faster and more youth-dominated than ever. It's more like the college game. LeBron's window has been closed, whether he's on the Lakers or not. LeBron's window has been closed, whether – I didn't read that right. LeBron's window has been closed, whether he's on the Lakers or not. LeBron's window has been closed, whether he's on the Lakers or not. Okay, basically said it twice. Thank you for the super brother. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Guys, let me just give you an example. All right. Great example, not a great example. We don't have to go to when the finals were. Finals were, I think, a week ago it ended, right? A week ago today. Do the Oklahoma City Thunder look like a young, youthful team that is running up and down the floor, that can play defense, that can play 7, 8, 9 guys? That's the Thunder. Okay, go look at the Indiana Pacers. Look at the depth that the Pacers had. Obviously, losing Tyrese Halliburton was devastating. Tyrese Halliburton, his age. Pascal Siakam seemed like the old guy in the group. And what is he, 30? Something like that. The best player in the world right now is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's 26 years old. That is the NBA today. And the NBA is not the same as it was a couple years ago. And it's obviously there's always an evolution of the league, and that's where we are today. So as the Lakers kind of look to see how they can build a team and they could build a roster, a lot of that's obviously going to come into play. Thank you for the super brother. I appreciate it. 20 spot. Very, very nice of you. All right, let's look at some more here. I don't even know where to go. So many comments here. So many comments. Let me just try to go back a little bit. All right. Stop it. You a LeBron fanboy. You're not a Laker fan. I don't know if that's to me or if that's to somebody else. I have no idea. Yeah, gotta be honest. Laker fans, there's a funny relationship with Laker fans and LeBron. Either there's just and this comes with, I think, the LeBron territory as well. They love him and he can do nothing wrong, or he drops 38 and 8 with 4 blocks, and somebody's going to say, "Well, you should have had more steals." Well, I mean, he had 3 turnovers. I don't know if my voice changes like that, but it's one way or the other. LeBron needs to do, or Lakers need to do what the Suns did with the Rockets for KD. I don't think LeBron wants to go anywhere. I think when he came to LA, I think part of his goal was to finish his career with the Lakers. I don't think he probably thought he was going to play 8 years for the Lakers. I don't know if that's what his plan was, but I do think there is a little bit of, I do think there was, hey, I'm moving my family out here. Business is good out here. I delivered my championship to Cleveland. Obviously got a couple in Miami, learned what he learned there. I do think that he had the intention of staying in LA. And listen, this could very, very well be complete posturing by LeBron. Maybe a little bit of a threat, like, hey, if you guys don't get your stuff together, maybe I don't want to finish my career here. Hypothetically, let's just say that's how LeBron's approaching this, and he's not BSing. He's not playing poker. Okay. I think then the Lakers try to go make the best decision for themselves if you reach that approach at the trade deadline, or if LeBron decides at the end of this upcoming season, like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to go play somewhere else. Who owes anybody? I don't think the Lakers owe anything to LeBron. I don't think LeBron owes anything to the Lakers. I think kind of mission accomplished. It was a good partnership. It was a good relationship. It wasn't perfect all the time, but when I say mission accomplished, it's like, all right, you won an NBA championship. Both sides made an incredible amount of money. The brands got only bigger and stronger because they were together. But eventually, it's got to come to an end. And if that comes at the deadline or that comes at the end of the season, I don't think both sides are going to look at each other and say, hey, that was incomplete. I don't. But I still, honestly, in the back of my head, I still have a very difficult time thinking LeBron wants to go somewhere else. I do. And frankly, I put something here in my notes, and let me get into that here real quick. So I put into my notes here that I said there's 3 different scenarios that play out based on LeBron opting in. Okay. Let me get my very high-tech LeBron opts in banner up here. I put here in my notes, I said that there's 3 different scenarios that can play out based on LeBron opting in. And then I have a 4th scenario that I'll share with you guys in just a second. Here are my 3 different scenarios. what does he do? What does it mean with him moving forward? It could mean that he plays his final year with the Lakers. This is his 23rd season in the NBA, and he calls it a wrap, and that's it. He retires at the end of this year, no matter what happens, and LeBron moves on, right? Decides to get into other things, and Lakers move on as well, and that's it. That's one scenario that can play out. I still have a little hesitation on that. I think I think he can make so much money, and he's doing what he's doing still, and there's teams that still have interest in him. So one scenario is he retires. The other scenario after this season is the Lakers, he leaves the Lakers to go play somewhere else. Doesn't get traded, plays the full season, and he goes play somewhere else. Okay, maybe he says, I'm going to go play with the Cavs for one more final year. I'm going to go join a team and try to go win one more championship. All right, that's another scenario. There's two scenarios. Third scenario, I think, is he signs a smaller deal with the Lakers next year for a chance to go win an NBA championship based on some of the different players that they bring in. Where the Lakers going to be a year from now? Where's Luka a year from now? Where's Reeves a year from now? Where's new ownership a year from now? Where's JJ Redick a year from now? Front office, the whole thing. The last scenario that I would, bring in, would the Lakers and LeBron agree to a trade? And I think that's kind of what some of this is angling towards. Hey, if things aren't going the right way, if the Lakers do decide that they're not, Lakers are saying to themselves, this just ain't going to work. You just can't have somebody in his 23rd year making 52.6. Let's all move on. If LeBron is saying to himself, yeah, I can't compete here, so let me go move on somewhere else. Those are kind of the scenarios right now that I think are in front of everybody, and I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I really do. I was seeing some things out there. Kevin O'Connor put out, LeBron James to the Cavs would require getting under the second apron, which would mean losing Jared Allen, Darius Garland, and a third guy, probably Max Strus. He just kind of goes in. It'd be a complicated trade. A third team at least would have to be involved. A lot would have to go out, but if the chance is there, the Cavs should go all in on LeBron. All right. Hey, if there's a trade to be made, and if that's kind of what LeBron wanted, and the Lakers decided, all right, let's start planning, like really, truly, genuinely planning for the future around Luka. Okay, if that's a scenario that presents itself. This is such an easier scenario to talk. Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember Shaq and Kobe Shaq and Kobe moved on. They lose to the Pistons in the finals. And now Dr. Jerry Buss has got a decision to make. Basically, Kobe's putting his foot on the ground, and he's saying, listen, it's either me or him. You knew at that stage in Kobe's career, he was walking into his prime. He's already a 3-time NBA champion. He's box office. He might be the best player in the league. That's a different scenario. That's a very difficult scenario. Which decision are you going to make? I'll tell you guys this. I mentioned this when I was on 710 for years on 710 ESPN. I was a Shaq guy. And I was like, trade Kobe. You got to keep Shaq. More players want to play with Shaq than they want to play with Kobe. Well, that's why Dr. Jerry Buss is one of the greatest out there. And Dr. Jerry Buss understood, all right, I'm going to ship Shaq's ass out, and I'm going to just try to rebuild this franchise with Kobe. And eventually I'm going to bring Phil Jackson back in. And eventually they get Pau Gasol. And then they go to 3 finals in a row and they do what they did. Okay, that might have been a difficult decision at the time. With LeBron, there's just no decision like that. He's going to be in his 23rd year in the NBA. So the scenario is wildly different than I think it has been in the past. And, I'm using that trade as an example. You got traded to the Cavs. All right, the Lakers getting back, right? Like I think there's a part of you that what LeBron has done with the Lakers, cool, awesome, appreciative. But there's a side of you that's like, okay, well, what would it look like if LeBron's not there? And are you now getting that much closer to competing for an NBA championship down the road? What other players would be there around Luka? You saw how Luka got to the NBA Finals and to the Western Conference Finals, the way they put together that roster. Okay, let's take a look at some more comments here. And then I got a couple other things that are also related into all this. By the way, what's so fun about doing shows like this? When you're on live like this. look like there's just there's so many things actively happen. I saw that Julius Randle signed a 3-year deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was right before I was about to go live. So I don't think a complete shock there. I think he got $100 million. Actually, I think a good contract for both sides. I think that's a very fair contract. Let's see what we got here. Let me keep looking. I just want to see if there's anything else that's kind of happened since we got going here. Okay, let me look at a couple of comments here, and then I want to get into the challenge the Lakers are having of getting a center, based primarily on the fact that everybody knows the Lakers are so desperate for a center. All right, let me forward down here a little bit. We got some more love here. Ben Simmons at the 5 for LA is a genius, cheap move. You know, I had one of my feeds recently. I had Ben Simmons just kind of come up, and it was his highlights when he was in Philly at a young age. What happened to Ben Simmons? What happened to that guy? I mean, it's got to be all mental. What the hell happened to that guy? That guy was an absolute baller for a moment there, and then gone. I mean, I can't make a shot, doesn't want to take a shot. Talk about, mentally shot. I don't know what to tell you. It all kind of started in that playoff series where he didn't take a shot, and Doc Rivers called him out, and Embiid called him out, and I think it was never the same after that. All right, let's see what we got here. Didn't see you were live, Sliwa. I know. Just a kind of random one today just because of so much going on. I didn't like the way Shaq disrespected Dr. Buss with the middle finger. Yeah, I guarantee you Shaquille O'Neal has a lot of reasons why, or a lot of maybe he wish he treated the Lakers situation a little bit different. It's funny. We were all these reports that are coming out right now. Luka's in the best shape. The guy is under a different plan. Go look at his conditioning. He's really ticked off that the Dallas Mavericks let him go the way he did. And I did a video last week. I'm like, why do you guys want me to praise Luka for getting into shape? That's his job. That's why he's getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Go be in shape. Shaq is a great example of this, right? Shaq back in the day, if you go look at Shaq and Kobe together, Kobe's biggest frustration with Shaq was your ass ain't in shape. You're not taking your job as serious as I am. I got a difficult time praising people for a position that really, really is important for their job to be in the best shape. Clint Capella would be a good cheap option. Okay, I'm going to get into that in just a second. I'm going to get into some of these other guys that are out there, and we'll go from there. Let me just see if I missed a couple more comments here. We had a good squad being built pre-LeBron. Guys, this is what the Lakers do, and they got no patience, and they're not, building from the draft. And when they had Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and that's what other teams do, Sacramento's, some of those. And I'm not telling you this is the right route or the wrong route, but pre-LeBron, you didn't have a shot at a championship. You got LeBron. You were in the conversation now for championships, and you got one. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Which one is smarter? Which one is better? Obviously, going and getting LeBron got you an NBA championship, and then got you Anthony Davis, and then eventually got you some of these other stuff. I don't think ungrateful. I think spoiled as hell. Spoiled as hell. I think that's the right way to put it. But that part of that has to do with the franchise has created winners after winners, and there's 17 NBA championships. And naturally, it's like every day you come home and you got steak and lobster. You know what happens as every day goes by is you appreciate the steak and lobster just a little bit less. Yeah, the steak was a little undercooked. This lobster, I don't know about it. That's there's certain franchises that are kind of built that way. And you start to lose a little bit of the appreciation for what it was. Okay. I got another thing here that I'm going to get into. I want to talk about the Lakers' challenges in getting a center. And I really, really thought by the time, if you'd have told me a week ago, we were going to get to Sunday and still the Lakers had not made a trade and addressed some of their needs, I would tell you, come on, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Of course, they're going to address some of those needs. But before I do so, I got to give a shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Okay, Lexus Santa Monica getting in the mix here. I was really, really excited to bring them on as a partner. Lexus Santa Monica. I bought my car. I got a GS 450 hybrid, and it's older. I've had my car for about 8 years now. But I've been driving Lexus for over 15 years. And really what I try to do in any of these partnerships, I want them to be genuine. I really want them to be genuine. This is a genuine partnership with Lexus Santa Monica. Matt Unger over at Lexus Santa Monica has been running that dealership for years. I've known him for a long time. Our partnership started together when I was at 17. I probably known him for about 10 years. We've gone on Laker road trips together, Lakers Sacramento Kings, back when Luke Walton was the coach. If you're in the market for a car, can I introduce you to Matt Unger, please? Can I introduce you to truly somebody that knows everyone in the business? It doesn't matter what kind of car you're looking for. Start with Matt Unger. Now, I will tell you why I drive Lexus. Quality cars, reliable cars. I got about 180,000 miles on my car. I bought a pre-owned Lexus. I kind of use it as a long-term investment. That's how I buy my cars. Now, you guys can do it any way you want. You want to get a lease, whatever the case is. It's important to have a car that you could depend on. I mean, go look at right now how expensive everything is. Do you really want to keep spending money on your car? Do you want this crazy high car payment? And then you got to worry about servicing and everything else. Lexus, that reliability is such an important feature for me. Doesn't matter what your current situation is. Not happy with a lease. You want a new car. Interested in the used market. Across the street of their Lexus Santa Monica dealership is their pre-owned lot. Start with Matt Unger. Start with him, and I guarantee you he can help you get into some type of deal where you feel comfortable. Now, I put it in here as well, and I told Matt, I'm like, hey, Matt, you okay if I start putting your email out there and people can start emailing you? Yes, he is okay with it. I can make a personal introduction as well. Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. You guys know my email address. If you're in the market for a car and you need help, holler at me, holler at Matthew Unger, and we'll try to help you. Okay, so here's the other big news around the Lakers that I think we're all kind of sitting on and we're waiting for. You guys know what the big news. The big news is, what the hell are they bringing in? Because we can have all these conversations that we want, but at the end of the day, how are you improving this roster? I saw something a little bit earlier, and I wanted to make sure that I brought this up as well. The Lakers' challenges in getting a center. Okay, let me get into it real quick. Anthony Irwin had put this out. Teams recognize the Lakers are desperate for a center and are asking for more assets to take advantage of them, per Anthony Irwin. I don't think a big shock or a big surprise that that's the case. I mean, I think, sometimes people want to make a case, well, it's because it's the Lakers. Okay. Maybe that's the reasoning. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I think it has just as much to do with the fact that the Lakers are desperate for a center. And if you watch them in the playoffs, you knew that, all right, well, they can't really do anything without a big. They can't really do anything without having a legitimate center that can man the fort for the Lakers. And we all knew that once the Lakers traded, obviously, for Luka Doncic, it was going to take a second for them to be able to figure out things and put together the right roster. So that news that came out, and then you start hearing the names like Brook Lopez and Clint Capella. I got to be honest with you. I'll take anybody at this point. But I'm shocked that we are a week ago, if you would have told me, hey, Al, NBA draft is done. We're coming into the weekend. I've heard Brian Windhorst, Shams Charania, all these people say that, hey, it's going to be very active, very active. And the NBA free agency has been active, or at least trades have. But a lot of it happened pre the draft. What we had, just Lonzo Ball that got traded. Was that yesterday? Man, that would really just deflate the room if they're not able to go address what they need at the center spot. Now, I think we all agree. No matter what they do, I think we all agree that if the Lakers hypothetically, if they got Brook Lopez or Clint Capella, that's better than what they had. But we also understand, and we all know that, all right, that ain't going to be enough. How are you going to actually go really compete unless you're able to go address those things? I mean, I've used that Mark Williams trade as a perfect blueprint for me. Perfect. If you got to use Dalton Connect, you got to go use a first rounder. You got some expiring contracts. Can you go please address this need that the Lakers have? And so far, at least up to this point, they have not been able to do so. We have seen some reports about Brooke Lopez and Clint Capella we've talked about in the past and everything else. But damn, this is going to be a real disappointment if they find themselves, in the next week or so and things haven't really been addressed, or that they end up not being able to use some of the contracts that they have, the expiring contracts of Rui Hachimura or Maxi Kleba, or I know Gabe Vincent's not expiring contract, or no, Gabe Vincent expiring contract as well. If they can't use any of those contracts, that's going to be highly, highly disappointing. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then we'll do a little Dorian Finney-Smith, and then we're going to call it a day. All right, let's see what we got here. Kevin Brown, looking more and more like we're trying to clear the books for next summer, wondering if Pelinka is only armed with one-year contracts this summer. I will tell you this. Hey, I got a couple things on that. I was at the exit interview with Pelinka. He's talking about this upcoming free agency in summer. And he's like, there's going to be a lot of action and this and that. And, we know we got to go get a center, all that stuff. By the way, listen, we could be sitting here. I could end the show and tomorrow Lakers end up making a trade and they go address their needs for a big. But I was like, Rob, don't overpromise and underdeliver. Like pump the brakes. I think sometimes, and this is something that's hurt Pelinka a little bit. Listen, Pelinka traded for Luka, so whether you want to give him credit or not, he should deserve credit. His relationship with Nico Harrison. So obviously he got a generational talent to come to the Lakers, and however he got there. But there's a part of me that's like, Rob, just don't if Rob were to say what this comment is saying, guys, we're always looking towards the future. We're really trying to build something sustainable. We might take some hits along the way, but we got to keep the future in mind, period. I think people are going to stand, okay, hey, I understand where you're coming from. But I did walk away from this summer, or I walked away from that exit interview like Pelinka's about to make some moves. And they're going to make moves, and they're going to address some of the needs that they have. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Obviously for a lot of Laker fans out there, you're hoping it does, just because you want to see as best as you can. You want to see a competitive team this year. You just kind of want to walk into October 1st when training camp starts and say, hey, Lakers got a shot to make some noise. But you can't really do that unless, you obviously address that, the lack of size that the Lakers have. Kevin, thank you for the super, buddy. Jerry, thank you very much for the super. SK Wonderful with a big time super. Thank you for the 20 spot. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that. All right, let's take a look at some more comments here. And I got no issue with them planning for the future. I really don't. I got no issue with them planning for the future, but you also want to set the right expectations. LBJ is delusional. He refused to self-reflect. How long dude was in the league and haven't developed a meaning part of the game with the same dribbling skills of Kendrick Perkins? He blames everybody else. Did we just compare LeBron and Kendrick Perkins? Did Perk just get compared to LeBron? Y'all really think 45-year-old LeBron, Bryce, Bronny, Luka, and DFS is winning enough? Don't give me. We already got Bronny. I don't think we need to. I don't think we need another one in here. I don't think we need another one. Nico will give us AD for Braun. All right, go make it happen. Why do you think Charlotte lowered their price on Mark Williams? Because he's a lemon. I'm hoping not. I've said this to you guys before. I really, really hope that Mark Williams, I'm not wishing Mark Williams any health issues. That dude took a ton there and really kind of his name got dragged in the mud, and that could stick with you for the rest of your career. So I really hope that's not the case for him. And I said this before, I'll say it again. That blueprint of a 25-year-old and younger big man, a lot of energy, a motor, can get up and down the floor, can play some defense, can get some lobs. Oh, would that be the perfect fit for the Lakers? Now, how they get that, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the Lakers are able to, obviously figure that out. Now that's up to, obviously that's up to Palenka to figure out. Okay, last thing that I just want to mention here real quick, and then I'll read a few more of these comments. We'll call it a day. Dorian Finney-Smith enters free agency. So for those, this kind of, I'm prepping for this show. I'm getting ready, and then all of a sudden, I see it come up. Shams Charania put this out. Los Angeles Lakers forward Dorian Finney-Smith is declining his $15.4 million player option for the 2025-2026 season and will enter free agency, sources tell ESPN. Multiple contending teams are expected to pursue Dorian Finney-Smith beginning Monday night, and a Lakers return is possible. Man, I'd be really surprised if Lakers are not able to bring back DFS. And whether you're the biggest DFS fan or, you're not a fan of his, or you say, Al, I was really expecting more from him in the playoffs, which I was as well. I don't think DFS was anything special at all in the playoffs. They got to bring him back. They need DFS. They need players like DFS. I think Dorian Finney-Smith, and if you told me right now, if you put a gun to my head, Al, what do you think is going to happen? DFS a Laker, or is he going somewhere else? I'm going to take my chances. I'd say he's coming back to the Lakers. I do believe that. I do think that he has a relationship with Luka. I do think he probably likes his role with the Lakers because he gets a lot of minutes. I think he does understand that roster was imperfect and there's, obviously work to be done. But I think at the end of the day, I do think he will sign. But if we're sitting here on, Monday night and he's already put together a deal and bam, he signed somewhere else, he's on a contender and you pick whichever team that you want, that's not a good we're off to an awful start for this summer if that's going to be the case. So DFS does enter free agency. I don't think it's a big shock that he declined the $15.4 million player option. I think he's going to try to get a multi-year deal, which obviously is smart for him. So I think that's what we're really looking at in regards to that. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at a couple more of these comments. I am going to look at as well, see if anything else has happened. Let me see here. Always trying to see if, if there are deals that, there's one other thing that went down as well. The Lakers have picked up their $2.3 million option for Jordan Goodwin. His contract now becomes lightly guaranteed for the 2025-2026 season. Lakers are also tendered a two-way qualifying offer to Christian Coloco. Coloco will now be a restricted free agent on July 1st. Let me just say this here real quick. I'm a fan of Jordan Goodwin, and I'm glad that Jordan Goodwin is coming back to the Lakers. I think he made a case for himself last season. I thought he deserved some more playing time in the playoffs. I thought there were moments where J.J. Redick was so incredibly stubborn during the postseason and just went with what he thought he knew. I think you needed youth. I think you needed energy against Minnesota. I think you needed some different looks. And I'm glad Jordan Goodwin's going to come back because I feel like that man, I think he earned whatever he gets from the Lakers. I think he earned it. So I think that part is good. And I think most Laker fans would agree. I think they were fans of Jordan Goodwin, and I think they liked what he brought to the table. And anytime Jordan Goodwin was getting minutes, I don't think anybody was saying, you got to get him off the court right now. I think he was doing his thing. And I love seeing players that kind of come out of their way to earn their spot, to earn their minutes, to find a way to say, you know what, I'm good enough to play with some of these other players that are in this league, and you don't got to give me a contract to show it. I'll just go out there and prove it. And I thought Jordan Goodwin did that. So I saw that a little bit earlier. I forgot to bring that up, but I'm a fan of Goodwin's game, and I'm glad that he's coming back. Let's see what else we got here. I hope the Lakers trade Rui for Wiggins and trade AR for Gafford and Max. Let me say this. I do think there's going to be some opportunities with what the Mavs have because they have so many players in their front line. They got Anthony Davis. They got Lively. They got Gafford. And they just drafted Cooper Flagg, which, he's going to get major minutes. So I do think there's going to be an opportunity probably with a guy like Gafford. Even the contract that he signed, he's still trade eligible. My problem is I just don't know if they're going to make a trade with the Lakers. That's my only issue. My only issue is I kind of look at the situation. I look at the predicament. It's like, yeah, I got a difficult time kind of understanding how the Lakers and the Mavs are going to make a future trade together. Here's my problem with the Rui and the Wiggins trade. And I put out a video on this last week. My problem is you only got so many assets. You guys tell me, and you guys answer this as we do this live. Where should the Lakers' assets be going? Should the Lakers' assets be going towards a wing or should it be going to a center? And my problem is if you go get Andrew Wiggins, who I'm a fan of, I think Wiggins would be a nice fit for the Lakers. My issue is if you go use Rui, draft compensation, Dalton Connect, and you go get Wiggins, tell me how you're getting a center. That's the problem. The problem is it's going to be difficult, very, very difficult for the Lakers to go address the center need. And I know people are putting on here, well, maybe you use Austin Reeves to go get a center, whatever the case is. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on Austin Reeves tomorrow. I actually think more and more, I don't think they're going to trade Austin Reeves. And I think Austin Reeves is going to be a part of the future for the Lakers. As every day goes by, I think I'm starting to believe that a little bit more and more. But the point that I'm trying to make is here, you need a center. And if you want another wing, and you have a limited amount of assets that you have. And if those assets are all going towards a wing, how the hell are you going to get a center? That's going to be the problem. That's the issue that I have with that. Alan, be honest. LeBron is handicapping the team. Hey, listen, it's I'm not telling you that that the water is I'm not telling you that it's not a little messy. It is. It is. That's just kind of the reality. If you got a player this late in his career that's still box office and still putting up numbers and still wants to play, okay, that's not going to make things easy for the Lakers. It's not. And I think we all understand that. So I think that, I'm not sitting here and I'm telling everybody that LeBron is a guaranteed and a lock and, you're going to have a lot of success because he's here. I've been the one saying that I don't think you can't do both. You can't have LeBron and Luka, and I still think compete for an NBA championship. The only way I see that happening is next year LeBron signs a completely reduced deal with the Lakers, and they went out and got a big time free agent to start 2026. That's the only way I've probably seen that happen. And who knows if that's going to happen. Okay, we're going to go for a few more minutes here. We'll get to an hour, and then that's it. And then everybody else is going to go enjoy the rest of their Sunday. And I'll tell you what's going to end up happening. What's going to end up happening is the Lakers are going to find a way. As I sit here, and this happens every time. The moment I'm done, then the Lakers make a move, and they're like, "Al, you know what? You got to figure this out, buddy. You got to go back and go live." All right, let's see what we got here. If there's anything else. Ramona put something out. This is very interesting quote from Rich Paul. The dynamic of LeBron knowing the Lakers are building around Luka will be fascinating to watch this year. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Anything else? Anything else here? Lakers want to compete for a championship next season, but is uncertain of the Lakers, or LeBron wants to compete for a championship next season, but is uncertain of the Lakers roster moving forward. He is evaluating how he wants to end his career. Okay. All right. Final couple of comments here, and then we're done. Let's see what we got here. Keep in mind, they said Kobe was handicapping the team also. Never mind the 5 rings he brought to the Lakers. Guys, we really can't have Kobe and LeBron comps. You just can't. And it's unfair to LeBron, frankly. Kobe's actually, I don't even think you can argue it. He's the greatest Laker of all time. Part of it is because of the 5 championships. The other part of it is because he played 20 years for the Los Angeles Lakers. There's no comps there. You just can't have any comps there. LeBron's greatest championship that he ever won, it's going to be with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he's going to have won twice as many championships with the Heat than he did with the Lakers. And he went to the NBA Finals 4 times with the Miami Heat. He went to the Finals once with the Lakers. You can't comp these. You know what I mean? LeBron has a chapter with the Lakers. LeBron also has other chapters. If you ranked his chapters with every team that he was with, I think his chapter with the Cavs is his most memorable chapter because he won an NBA championship for Cleveland. It's a big difference. He won an NBA championship for Cleveland. Then I think chapter 2 is 4 NBA Finals appearances with the Heatles at the time with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and winning 2 NBA championships. And I think the third chapter is with the Lakers. And I'm ranking that from what I think would be importance in his career, in my opinion. Just like if I said, hey, give me Laker chapters, rank the Laker chapters of all time. Where would the LeBron AD chapter be on the list of Laker chapters? Way the hell down here. Showtime era, Kobe and Shaq, Jerry West era, Powell and Kobe. The LeBron chapter is way down here. So that's why I don't like comparing, a Kobe to a LeBron. There's just no comparison. Now, if the conversation is greatest players of all time, LeBron's on the list of 2 or 3, and a lot of these other Laker greats, obviously are making an argument to be there. Kareem's making an argument to be there. I think Magic gets disrespected all the time. I think he should be considered one of the greatest of all time. But you cannot have a conversation without putting Bron, obviously, in that GOAT conversation. All right. Are we done? We done? Everybody done? Let's get one more of these in here. Luka Bron got us to the 4 seed. We just need a solid center. By the way, it's a fair case. Like, I get it. Those that are everybody that I've talked to, whether it's Trevor Lane, Keith Smith I had on Friday. He was great. Eric Pincus I've had on. McMenamin we've had conversations with. All these people that I've talked about. Jovan has come on the show, obviously. Everybody actually feels that the Lakers are not that far away from competing. But you gotta, you gotta shore up the rest of your roster. And if you have difficulty doing that, then it's going to be difficult for the Lakers to obviously truly compete. All right, my people, I think we're done. All right, so I did an hour today. So that means I'm off tomorrow. Is that it? Are we done? I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So looking forward to doing the show. Hopefully some more stuff that come up. We'll continue to have this conversation. I think this is a fascinating conversation about LeBron and some of the quotes that came out. And then we'll see if there's, some more rumors around the Lakers. Who knows? Maybe the Lakers make a move. And then, the other piece of this, Austin Reeves conversation is becoming, like I said, I think that's a real conversation that we got coming up, and that's going to come up tomorrow as well that I want to spend some time on. Thank you all for hanging out on this Sunday. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Please consider being a member. Would love for you guys to be members. $3 a month. Great way to support the channel. Got a lot of love for everybody that's on the channel. Just a little bit more love if you're a member. That's all. I just love you a little bit more if you're a member. All right, I put a link here in the chat if you want to become a member. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm for being a partner. Thank you to Lexus Santa Monica for being a partner as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. unless something else happens tonight. Thank you, everybody.